Welcome to another episode on Linux. I'm Samson Anyuan, your tech friend. Today's episode is going to focus on a powerful command known as sudo. Sudo is a very powerful command that any Linux system administrator or Linux user must know. With sudo, you can do anything. And when I say anything, yes, I mean literally anything. You can create and delete users, you can create and delete groups, you can add users to groups, you can remove users from groups, and you can do anything. You can do quite a lot with sudo command. It gives you administrative privileges to execute more commands and tasks that are only done by the root user. So I will switch to my machine and open a terminal. Okay, let's see what sudo is and what it does. Sudo in short is super user do. That's what it means. It's a command that tells Linux that please give this user that is logged in here, who is not a root user, you give the user administrative privileges so that it executes the given command. This is what sudo does. So in this case, we will log in as a root user. For example, we can say sudo and then su basically mean switch user. We are switching to the root user. We want to see the difference between the root user and the normal user, or just the regular user that you can see here. We are logged in as regular user, not the root user. So you enter and it will give you, of course, you will be logged in now as the root user, as you can see here. So from here, we can create users. We can say, maybe let's see how we can create a user uh, on this account, or using this root user, and also create another user here, and we see the difference. Maybe I can just split my screen here and then increase the font size again. Coming back here, okay, you can now look at the two different screens. This one, we are logged in as a root user here, and here as just the regular or the normal user. So we will create a user here and also another user on this side, and we'll see how this is done. Here, with the root user, we shall need no sudo command, because the root user is a super user that has the full control over the system, has all the privileges to do anything, to execute any task or any command. So working with the root user, you will not be required to use sudo again. So like if we want to create a user, of course we will say add user, and then we enter the name of the user. Maybe we can say James, and you enter, and you will be asked for a password. Of course, the password for the new user that you are creating, and then you can enter. You retype again, and then you're asked for a password. I mean, not the password, but the full name, which you can provide if you wish. But I'll just enter empty. The rest of the information, you just enter them empty, or just depending on what you wish. For me, because this is just a demonstration, I'll enter them empty and then confirm that this information is correct. Yes. And now the user is created. The user called James is now created using the root user. So here we can confirm, can say we come to this directory, etc password. This is etc password in short. This one is just password in short. This is the directory where you get all the users that are available in the system. So you enter, and you can now see James is created, is available, plus the rest of the users that were available. This is how you create a user using uh, the root user or the super user, that is the administrator. You have seen how we create a user on the root user, the root user account, that is without sudo command. The root user does not need uh, to use sudo command to execute anything. It has absolute powers to do anything, so it doesn't require sudo again. But looking at this other side of the user, the normal user that we are logged in here, of course, will need the sudo command to execute other commands. Like if you want to maybe create a user or delete a user, create a group or delete a group, add user to the group, or create a file, delete a file, modify, whatever thing, you will always need sudo command because it gives the user the administrative privileges so that it can execute commands that are given. So here, let's see again how we can maybe create uh, another user and using the sudo command. So here we will say sudo add user. Maybe we can say we are creating a user called Rose. Of course, you enter, and we are now asked for the password of this user that we are logged in, which we can provide. And now we are being asked to enter the new password for the new user. We can also provide that. We type the password, and then we are asked for the full password. I mean, not the full password, rather, but the full name. You can provide if you wish. I will just enter them empty, and I confirm that the information is correct. And the two users, that is Rose and James, are now created. We can confirm by saying sudo cat and then etc password, this directory that we just saw this side. We check again, and again you can see Rose is now added, and James that we created on this other side is now here. You can see this is how we create users. That's one thing. Now, number two, let's see if these users that we have created have privileges, if they can have the right to use the sudo command. We will confirm. Maybe I'll come back here this side and clear the screen again and say we can we want to see if sudo maybe I can just confirm on this side, clear the screen, and then say sudo. I log in to one of the users that we just created here. Maybe we can say Rose, and we are now logged in as Rose. From here, what we will do, we'll confirm if Rose can use sudo or not. So we can say sudo and then -L and enter the password for Rose, and you can see the error that it throws that sorry, user Rose may not run sudo on your charm. That is, this user Rose may not run sudo command on this group called your charm. This is the group. It cannot run this unless Rose is assigned to the sudo group. Now it is on user, on your charm group. This is where it is, and it cannot run the sudo command. So what it means basically, the user does not have the privileges to execute this sudo command and cannot create files, cannot create users, cannot remove users, cannot do any other thing, but only limited to very few commands that it can execute. So this is what it means. So now let's see how do we assign users? This user, how do we assign this user to the sudoers file? The sudoers file we shall see just in some few minutes. We shall see the sudoers file. Here we have two ways that we can assign this user to the sudo group. How? One, we can say sudo. Of course, this does not actually have those privileges. We first have to log out of this user that does not have the privileges and go back again uh, to the user that has privileges. This user has privileges to create users, delete users, and do anything in the system. So here we'll just clear the screen, and then now we want to assign rows to the sudo group so that it can get all those privileges that the sudo command has. We'll say sudo and then user mode minus a g, and then now we put the group where it's being assigned to, that is the sudo group, and then the name of the user, of course, is rows. And here, this, what does this command mean? Of course, this minus a is to append. A means you're appending the new user to the new group without removing the user from the previous or the old group where it is. If you remove this, if you just put only G for group, then it will remove the user from other groups and then add the user to this group, the sudo group. So this is what it means. You enter, and then you can see now uh, rows is now added to the sudo group. If you wish, then you can even confirm that maybe you say if you wish, you can even just come here and say sudo that and then group, and it's too long to see where sudo group is, but basically you can just clear the screen and we can maybe log into that account rows and see if rows can execute other commands. We are now logged in again as rows. We can confirm again if we can execute the sudo command. We enter the password, and you can see now we have access to sudo. It says that rows may run the following commands on your term. This line basically means that the user rows can do anything, can execute all commands, and can execute all tasks. It has all privileges. So this is what it means. So we can now clear the screen and see if this user can now create other users. We can say sudo add user, and then maybe we can say which user. We can maybe say Maria, and we are now asked for a password. This simply means that yes, definitely the user can now create. We enter the password and we retype again. You can enter the full name, whatever information you can provide if you wish, but for me I will just enter them empty, and let's see if that user is now created. We can say sudo and then cat, and we enter to this directory, and the user is here. So now you can see that the new user is now in the sudo group, and can now do anything. Can create users, can delete users. That is now having any or the full control over the system. Can do anything, can create files if you wish. You can also create some files if maybe you can say cut, and then you say put the file name, just anything that you may wish. If this is the file name that I have just provided, for example, then you can enter any dummy information. You can just say maybe line 4, line 5, line 6, and it continues. Just anything now, uh, just to check, and the file is here. See, this uh, this user can now create files. Can, of course, maybe you can even open this with the sudo command, of course, and say, and then you enter the file name, just copy and paste, and now it's here. This is the file that you have just created. So the user can create users, can delete users, can create files, can delete files. You can even see here, maybe you can also delete this if you wish. You say rm for, maybe you can just even just go direct into again paste the, no, not copy the file name. You copy and then you paste, you enter, and the file is now removed. Of course, this one is just for remove. The rm command is for remove. If you wish to check again, now it's empty. It is now removed. So rows can now create files, can delete files, can create users, can delete users. We can also check if rows can delete Maria, the one that we created using this very user. We can also see if this very user can also. Maybe first we can confirm if that user is there, Maria, that we just created. Yes, and the user is here. Let's see how we delete this. Not how we delete, but actually, if this user has the privileges to delete or to remove this user, so we can say sudo and then user del, that is to delete a user, and then we just provide the name of the user. We say Maria, and we enter. Now you can see we check again, and the user is removed. We are now remaining with only rows, the very one that we are logged in here as the user. So this is how you assign users to the sudo command or the sudo group, so that it can have all the privileges in the system to create or do anything in the system. That's one way. Number two, another way is by the use of let me you go to the sudoers file, the one that I mentioned earlier, the sudoers file, this sudoers file, and then you adjust or make changes in that configuration, and then the group or the user will be added to the sudo group. This is how we actually do that. So I will just switch to, or I can just say, I will also use two ways here. I can say sudo and then go to this file, uh, rather, and you can see this is the sudoers file that I was actually talking about. This is the file. You can just go here to the configuration and add any user that you wish into that group. Yes, from here, uh, you can add the user here under the root or user privilege specification. Here you can just add any user that you wish. You can say rows. We are adding rows again. Excuse my typing today. Now, once you save this, of course, the user rows will be assigned to the sudo uh, to all the privileges. Let me say, if you wish, then you can just bring that user uh, to the group. If you want to assign rows to this sudo group, then you can bring uh, this this user down here, and we will have all privileges to to the sudo group. If you want to just make it as like the root user, you just specify here under the root user, and we'll have all the privileges as you can see here. So now, if you don't want to give all the privileges to the user, maybe you just want only you want to assign maybe one of the users, one of the employees, to be creating only users, but cannot delete users, cannot add users to groups, cannot remove users from groups. Then you can as well adjust from here. You say has been, and then this should not be in capital letters, has been, and then maybe you can give that command that you wish. Add user, of course, the user rows will be only and only adding users or creating users in the system, but will not do anything else, but will only be doing uh, you know creating users only. Maybe you can change this user to Maria, or not Maria. I can come here and maybe confirm which users are available, and we see, okay, Rose is already assigned. We can see maybe James. Yes, let's say James. We come back here. Let me clear the screen so that it doesn't create confusion. And we are back here, and I put James. James now can create only users, but cannot delete users, cannot add users to groups or whatever thing. So here I'll just save the file and exit. Now let's see if James can create files. We can first log in as James, of course. Sudo James, and now you can see that, of course, there is still an error that initializing audit login sudo as audit. Here we'll need to first log out and then again log in. Can log in as James, and now we are logged in as James, of course. Now confirming again, clearing the screen, and then from here we want to see if James can create another user. Of course, you can say sudo add user, and then maybe you can just say a user called Benjamin, for example, and we can provide a password for that user, then a password for the new user, and just enter that information if you wish. And now the user is now created. Maybe we can confirm here again, and you can see Benjamin has just been added into the list. So here we'll clear the screen again and see on this side, James can only add or create users, but you cannot delete users or cannot add users to groups or even removing users from groups. I will clear the screen again and then confirm if James can delete the very user that it created. Let's see, we can say sudo and then say userdel for deleting a user, and then we can put the name of that very user that we just created. And you can see now James cannot. I mean, actually, James cannot delete the user. It says, sorry, user James is not allowed to execute this command. You can see uh, as a root on this. So this is what it means. If you wish, maybe if you want to give James all the full control over the system, all the privileges, then you can, of course, go back to the sudo file. This time, going back to the sudo file, I will not use this command again, but rather I will just say sudo then nano, then I enter to this directory and enter the sudoers. And because James again is not also allowed to execute the command we are now being denied, we first have to log out of James account, because James can only do one thing, adding adding or creating only new users, but cannot do anything else. So we'll log out here and then now come back again and say sudo and then nano, and we enter to this directory and say sudoers. That is the sudoers file, and we are inside here now. You go back again, you just scroll down and log, not logging in, but just add the user. Instead of assigning this user to only particular commands, we are now giving James the full control, all the privileges. We will just say all here, and James will now have all privileges to do anything in the system. So we save the file and we go back. We can go back again and log in as James and see if James can now delete users. James, we are back again as James. Now let's see if James can now remove users. Maybe I'll just switch back again and see. We say userdel, and then we enter the name of the user that we want to delete. You enter and you're asked for the password of James. You enter the password, and now this user is now deleted. You can confirm here, and Benjamin is now gone again, is now deleted. So this is how we assign users to sudo group, or how we give users privileges to execute any command, or maybe assign them to particular commands or tasks in the system. Up to this far, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Always remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you.